Yo, what is up, guys? Russ here, coming at you with another commentary, season 2, second pass of these. And I thought I'd pick quite a nice one today. It's going to be a plus 20 Sanguine depths. Now, a few reasons I picked this one, 3, I guess. The first being that we've kind of gone full circle on commentaries. And the first ever commentary that I did upload on this channel was a Sanguine depths, I think 14 at the time. So it's cool to now go back to it and redo it again as a plus 20 on season 2. So I thought that was a nice little throwback. Second reason, I wanted to showcase the Ghostly Strike build that I talked about in my previous video to this one. So if you haven't seen that and you're interested, go check that one out. It's about Ghostly Strike Outlaw. Very, very, very good. I highly recommend. So I'll leave a link for it up there, and obviously it's the previous video. I'll put it down below as well. So I'm showcasing that build here, which does like very incredible damage, especially single target. You'll see in this video that my boss damage is pretty nice. I'm kind of leading against like other classes which I would have thought would usually beat me. And the third reason is that I wanted to show that you can kind of get a plus 20 done without any crazy routes. A lot of people, they usually try and deploy these like MDI routes, or they use these like crazy skips and things like that, or they pull like 3 packs together when you really, really don't need to. I feel like aside from like a couple of hiccups in this key, which you'll see, we pretty much took like a very linear route. I don't think I even used a shroud, aside from like convenience shroud at the beginning of the dungeon, like one for convenience. We didn't even use one towards the end, which most people will skip that 3 pack before the Gauntlet. We didn't even use that there. So this is just kind of showing that you can really just take a good route, slow and steady, and we still had finished a plus 20 with time to spare, to show you that. As long as your damage is kind of good enough, you should have no issues just running like a pretty safe route, really. So there are the 3 reasons why I picked this key. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, I'll get on there. I do want to ask you though, before we do that, if you could leave a like, drop a like before you start watching, or if you got other stuff to do and you just want to support the channel, it would really help me out if you drop a like down below. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna disappear, and I'll leave you with my voice as we talk over it. I'll fast forward all the slow bits and stuff as usual. So see you on the other side, and yeah, cheers for watching, cheers for tuning in. So as we go through the key, guys, I'm going to try and explain and I guess shed a bit of more light on the Ghostly Strike build, kind of what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Might give you a bit more of an insight than my previous video, as I just was like kind of hitting a dummy on that one. But getting straight into the key, obviously you guys know the rules of Outlaw by now, pretty much using everything on cooldown as it comes up. So AoE, keeping up Blade Flurry, rolling the bones, trying to get rid of basically the 3 buffs that you're looking for, and roll the bones if you're unaware. Going to be the True Bearing, which is the cooldown reduction. You want the Broadsides, which is the combo points, and you want the Ruthless Predator, I think it's called, which is like crit chance. The other 2 are pretty shit. Sorry, the Energy one and the Attack Speed, or is it Leech one, the Ground Duelist, are not so good, and I can't even remember the 6th one. But it is, it's the Saber Slash one, right? That one is like, you can do it out, but you want those 3 that I'm looking for. So here, pretty much popping everything, Adrenaline Rush off the cooldown. I already have it back for this pack, and we've used the Lantern there. I think it is our Shami who's the Venter in this run. So he's activating the Lantern. We're now getting a is it 100% damage buff or 50% damage buff, I think. So this pack, you can see that I really fucking pop off, like I'm hitting 22k DPS here. My Adrenaline Rush is already back, which is amazing. I got a nice roll. I got the combo point buff, which is great. But yeah, pretty much just slamming everything. So all you really want to do, like the kind of skill ceiling to this, I guess like switching to this build from running like Quick Draw, the whole expansion up to this point that I've been doing. So the good thing about Ghostly Strike is that Ghostly Strike is essentially scaling with your character like way better than Quick Draw, right? So we'll probably be using this build for, I'm assuming, unless anything changes dramatically, the rest of the expansion, because obviously 10% damage on all of your abilities is just going to keep on scaling up the stronger that your character gets, right? So the more gear you get, the more, I don't know what they're going to bring in the next patch. Like probably they'll bring in some more powers, we got like domination sockets and things like that now and stuff. So yeah, like the more that your character scales, the more that Ghostly Strike's going to be good. So it's always going to remain relevant, I think, from this point onwards. So that's one reason that I highly ship this build, I guess. But yeah, like generally what you're going to want to do is be using your Mark for Death on cooldown. That should kind of take a bit of priority, and you can see that I just chucked an evasion in as this executioner guy turned this thing on me. Just remember that the order for this guy is he's always going to slash the tank, which can be parried and things like that, so Demon Hunter can put his demon spikes up. And then he's going to do the Wave of Terror, where you have to stack with at least one buddy, and then immediately afterwards he's going to do the Carnage, which can be dodged with evasion or any kind of dodge mechanic. It can be bopped off by paladins and things as well. And you pretty much, I always take Dagger of Necrotic Wounding because it is insane single target. Obviously, the more attack power and things that you have, the more damage you're going to do with that. So I always run that, especially on Tyrannical. And that was just like a safety shroud, for convenience. What I was talking about in the introduction. But yeah, you want to be chucking your Mark for Death away on cooldown. It's going to take priority over your Ghostly Strike, actually. Especially like I usually use my Mark for Death on like preferably straight after a finisher, so you can kind of like double finish back to back. But you can just use it, if the target's about to die and you're going to get the reset. You should be looking to snipe with it, although it is not like super important. Obviously, the better that you can snipe with Mark for Death, the more resets you're going to get, and therefore the more full combo point finishes you're going to get for free, right? If you can snipe your Mark for Death really well. But like in general, just chuck it on like 1 to 2 combo points is what I do. Sometimes 3, and then again, as I said, like if the mob is about to die, you can just use it on like 4, just to like save you putting a global cooldown, so you can just use that last global cooldown on that mob to get like a dispatch in or something, like a 5-point instead of a 4-point dispatch. Just a little bit extra damage, but it does add up over the course of a dungeon or the course of a raid boss or whatever. Well, dungeon in this case. So yeah, on these mobs, all you really want to be doing, I'm focusing this big guy. Or we're trying to obviously focus the highest HP guy. I was on the big guy. You see, he's got a skull on him now. I'm kicking there. You just want to basically CC these ticks as much as you can. The engorge can be kicked, but if you don't have a kick on it, you can chuck a kidney on it, or you can chuck a gouge on it or something. But I would wait until the cast kind of like starts. So it has like a wind up, and then the cast will wind down, right? So you want to gouge it after it starts winding down, yeah, to put that spell on cooldown. But yeah, generally chuck your Mark for Death away on cooldown, and then Ghostly Strike on cooldown after that. Pretty much that simple. It doesn't sound like much, but it makes like such a dramatic difference in your damage and things. This boss pretty usual. I always feint the charge, and you should have the feint back up for every time he does the shatter, that when he shatters the balls. What's it called? Severing Smash. You can see it on my timers just there. So it's going to be coming now. I usually hook shot away, grappling hook away, and I feint as I grappling hook, and then I sprint back to the boss. And with Outlaw, because of Restless Blaze, you should have those up every single time, and you should also have your feint back for the Juggernaut charge. So, and remember that if the Juggernaut charge goes on you, you can step to the side and pop an evasion real quick. Your team should kind of expect you to do that. So here it's got the warrior again. I'm going to feint. There's my feint, and there's the charge. Take a little bit less damage, and you'll see that I'll have feint just coming back up in time for the Severing Smash again. Pretty much always works on that timing. I always do that. And of course, you can pop your Crimson Vial like anytime you really need to. So I'm going to grappling hook away. I'm feinting, and I'm sprinting back again. So all of those 3 abilities should be up for every single Severing Smash. Really, really nice. And if you can time it, obviously you can't get back to the boss too quickly, but what you could do, as long as your path is not going to take you through one of the balls that's going back to the boss or something, you could save your Blade Rush. Here I'm going to use an evasion, so I'm running to the side, pop evasion, doesn't do any damage. That's a nice break for the healer. As you can see, the healer's mana is looking pretty sketchy right now. The boss HP is still at 35%. I think this is probably the hardest boss in this dungeon, actually, on Tyrannical. But yeah, you can... So I'm going to grappling hook, I'm going to feint, I'm going to sprint, and if I hadn't used my Blade Rush just before I came off the boss set, I could Blade Rush back from like halfway. I could save myself a little bit of time. I could get back on the boss a little bit quicker. Don't know like what's worth it with the cooldown and things like that, but it was already on like a 40-second cooldown. So one thing you also need to be really, really looking for is he does that. He does the Hungering Drain, the interruptible cast, One thing that I see like catches out quite a lot of pugs, that one there that I just kicked, is that Hungering Drain. And basically if like it does almost an instant tick, and it does like a big AoE tick across your whole party, and there's a lot of AoE damage in this fight. Like the healer has to keep up with the Juggernaut charge, so between the party it's got to keep up with those 5 balls after every Severing Smash, and also that drain. Like usually the drain should get instantly kicked because it is on the timer, so look at your DBM timers or big wig timers and stuff. You can see my boss damage there as well as being the other 2, which I feel like should be a bit closer, but on Outlaw Rogue, I do tend to be topping boss damage more often than not now with this new build. I know that it's been around for a while, but I honestly only just switched, and I'm so glad that I actually just finally got around to setting up the keybind and things like that. I was quite stubborn about it, and that was obviously a me problem. But if you're like me, then maybe, I can be the one that convinces you to at least give it a try. I know setting up a keybind, especially when you feel like you're cozy with your own keybinds, or you don't really have many left to do, like maybe you have trouble like me with finding as many keybinds as you need and things like that. But honestly, it is so worth it. It is so worth it to do this. Like, you do insane boss damage and you still do really good trash damage. The only problem with Outlaw really that I feel like I'm having is burst AoE, right? Like, you see there, like the warrior on that big AoE pack, he just decimates that thing. And I always catch back up, like I'm ahead on overall. As you can see my top DPS meter there. Like I'm ahead on overall, but I don't know. I really do miss having that burst AoE potential, and like having that as well as a single target. Like a Demon Hunter could do that quite well right now. They've got like a lot of AoE and a lot of single target and a lot of cleave. Like it's just kind of like a nice all-round really good like damage spike. Whereas I feel like Outlaw right now has got like really good single target and like really good cleave over a sustained amount of time, like a big amount of time. But only have obviously up to 5 targets until they actually get around to uncapping Outlaw. And here as well, you can pop an evasion and stay into this Sogadon smash, right? So you can do that obviously once. On the next one I'm gonna have to get out, but it's a little bit extra damage. As I've been trying to preach to people, you can use your defensives cooldowns as offensive cooldowns, right? Like me popping an evasion here to stay in on Sogadon essentially is turning my evasion from a defensive cooldown into an offensive cooldown because it's giving me that extra few seconds uptime on the boss, right? Or uptime on this mob, right? But yeah, just to finish off what I was trying to say, as the boss finished, that Hungering Drain, if it does go off, like that is going to really stress your healer out. So make sure that you do look at your timer on DBM and kick that Hungering Drain on the first boss here. Yeah. On this pull, pretty much you're going to be wanting to save a Vanish. I don't know if I do on this pack or not. If I don't, then bad Russ, and he should save Vanish because it's coming up in 5 seconds. We'll see if I do, and if I don't, then I at least have Cloak. Like I feel like I might just Vanish right here. I'm not gonna do it. I did it. So on the next one, I'll probably want to Cloak, and then on the one after that, I should have Vanish back. And obviously, these packs they come back to back on these overseers. And other than that, I don't worry too much about like stunning and things like that on the oppressors, but you can chuck some kidneys out, you can chuck some gouges out and things like that. But what you do want to be making sure is like at least chucking your kick on something, like preferably the curse, but honestly any cast is quite good because these do wreck tanks, especially on fortified, right? And here we're popping the lamp, and this is kind of our big mistake of the dungeon, as you're about to see. I just get my Vanish here, so I'm hopefully going to... Oh, I cloaked it. So I got my Vanish in case he does another one now. But like the tank pulled in on bolstering this next pack, right? This is like a big AoE pack. Firstly, it didn't even get bolstered to the point where it wiped us. But those casters, they really hurt. Usually you'll take like, you'll split those packs and you'll bring those casters onto the lantern, and you will... So you'll actually pop the lantern on the second overseer pack instead of the first, like we did here. And then you'll bring all these oppressors in, and you'll stack them up, CC them, like AoE stun them, or like maybe a solar beam or something like that, right? And you definitely want to be kicking these dark bolts because they target random people and they just one-shot you, as you just saw with me, especially if these guys are bolstered. So this is kind of our big mistake of the dungeon. But from here on up, it does go a bit better. So now take 2 on this pull. We've actually line of sighted them. This is the correct way to do the pull. You run back through, he picks them up, you line of sight them here. Then we would have the lamp open from the previous pack, most likely. You just want to be chucking a kick on like anything that you really can. This is me being bad, apparently. I've rolled 6 buffs, which is really, really fortunate. But I didn't kick anything, so don't be like me. Kick something, and then maybe chuck a gouge or at least a kidney. You know, there you go, I finally kicked. But yeah, chuck a kidney. I did a kidney there. I guess I was trying to make up for it at the end for being a bad player for the beginning and dangerous part of the pack. And from here on out, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Like, we didn't use any crazy skips. Obviously, you can't shroud skip this room anymore because there's one of the tormentors in here from the season 2 affix. Here, you just want to be kicking what you can. Obviously, this overseer, sorry, is going to do the chains. So hopefully, I'm going to get my I'm hopefully going to vanish as soon as it's ready. Yeah, there you go. And for the next one, I do have a cloak ready for it. But you can also grappling hook away. If you don't have a cloak ready or a vanish ready, just grappling hook out of range. You see, like, directly behind where my character's standing right now. If you grapple to that wall, like where I think our Shadow Priest is standing, if you look at the minimap, that should get you out of range of the chains and break it. So that's just a nice little tip for you there. On this next pack, just be sure to try and, like, 1 or 2 of the mobs are going to get enraged. They're going to do tons of damage, like tons more damage, and they're going to be like big and red, right? Just try and look for that and shiv that guy. It's not like insanely important to do very, very quickly. Just look where Javelin is firing his tornado. I just got hit by it there. So it's gonna prioritize the range DPS, which is something that I was just working out as this happened to me, actually. But it's gonna always target either the Chamois or the Priest, so it's always gonna go towards that back wall where you see them standing on the minimap. There's the big dude, so I'm gonna switch to him, shiv him real quick. He got small again, so that's fine. I think it only goes on 1 guy because I think I'm the only soothe in the party. There you go. That's Javelin's tornado. Just dodge the tornado, shiv the 1 big guy, and this pack is absolutely easy. Tormentor, you know, is what it is. It's super quick. But you can see my overall now is it's looking pretty not too shabby. Like 10k overall at this point in the dungeon is quite good. As I was saying, like, Outlaw is lacking the burst AoE, which the other classes do have. Like Shadow Priest with cooldowns, that's insane. Fury Warrior does ridiculous AoE damage on quite a short cooldown as well. So I feel like that's really, really good for padding meters, especially on these dungeons which like have quite a lot of trash. I'd say that Sanguine Depths right now is actually quite a good key. They've made a lot of good changes to this dungeon, which you know, back in season 1, this one was quite feared throughout the community. I think if usually if people got a Sanguine Depths key, they would pretty much sit there and they would be like, well, dead key, you know, like no one wants to do it. You would have to drop it to like a 15 or like even lower just to get the Sanguine Depths done, just to rotate your key. But obviously now you can re-roll your key at the end of the dungeon and things like that, so that's all good. But yeah, I actually think that Sanguine Depths is one of the easier keys and also more fun because it's got quite a lot of AoE. It's got a decent amount of single target. The only thing I don't really like in this dungeon are the bosses. I feel like all of the bosses are just quite annoying. First boss is quite difficult and easy to mess up. I've like disbanded or wiped a lot of keys on that boss. This boss, second boss, has quite a lot of HP, and it depends, kind of like, there's a bit of an RNG element depending on where you get the Sentinel, like the Stone Sentinel, if you get it close to the boss or not. Kind of depends whether or not you can go into the boss with a lantern buff or not. If you can go in with a lantern buff and a bloodlust, this will make this boss like way easier. But sometimes you're not fortunate enough to get that, which is kind of annoying. I don't like that there's an RNG element there, but it is what it is. You can only do, you know, the best with the tools that you have, you know. So making sure on that pack, any pack down here with a warden on it, you want to be kicking the making sure you kick the barbed shackles, I think it's called, or something. That will root people in place, and like, while it itself is not too dangerous, it's going to mean that, like, sometimes if you pull it with these I think it's these scribes, they target random people, and the explosive vellum, they target random people, and then they put that orange swirly on the ground, right, which takes a few seconds to explode. But if you get a warden pack, if you get a warden with a scribe, sometimes it can root someone into that explosive, and it's like an 8-second root, and then it's gonna really mess you up, and that's usually like a pretty easy death. and quite an easy one to avoid as well. So just be careful on those packs. Another thing that you can do is there you go, there's me. Look, being a team player, dude. I'm running back just to pistol shot the explosive because everyone else ran away, you know. So that was nice. Maybe saved some damage, which, you know, can always cause like some kind of chain reaction, but I'm not going to take too much credit, although I did just take too much credit. So we're pulling these ones back to the lantern now, as you can see, and we're just going to pop the lantern like right before they die so that we get maximum uptime on the lantern. So maybe we can pull another pack into this lantern and refresh our buff and things. The red ghosts you can kick. They're just going to put that curse on people, which, you know, we have a chamois anyway, so he can dispel that. That's fine. But the ghosts, the black ghosty boys, they're going to do the like pool on the ground, which can be quite annoying if you don't tank these by a wall. So one thing you can be looking to do on those is gouge them or kidney them as they're gonna do the cast. I think it's called like something doubt. Maybe we'll see it cast here. Apparently not, but they do a pool on the ground occasionally, and that one can be interrupted. It won't put it on cooldown. It will just keep resetting it, so you'll need to like keep interrupting it in a row. So I'd only generally suggest doing it maybe when the mob is like below 30% HP or something. Here again, the warden, making sure I'm on the shackles cast there. Do we have a scribe in here? We do have a scribe in here, so we definitely don't want these barbed shackles to go off, right? So Demon Hunter got that one. I'm going to get the next one. It only needs 2 people to interrupt the warden, the barbed shackles, so just try and alternate with one of your party members. Make sure that like maybe you and the tank or you and another DPS alternating that one, yeah. But as you can see, like my damage throughout this is just really, really consistent, really, really stable. And sadly here, like we got this sentinel right next to the boss. As you can see on our lantern buff, if you look in the top right, that little red buff with the 10 next to it on 18 seconds or whatever. If we didn't get the sentinel here, we'd have had this 10 stack buff, which is 50% damage increase as we went into the boss with Bloodlust on a Tyrannical. That would have absolutely melted the boss, but sadly it's just running out as we pull the boss, so that's really, really, really annoying. That's like kind of the RNG factor that I was just talking about. But yeah, it is what it is. So on this one, you can, as I think I said in my last Sanguine Depths commentary, you can vanish the Castigate, but you need to wait till he starts actually casting it, right? Like if you vanish it while he's like charging the Castigate up, then he's going to like retarget it on somebody else, and then the Castigate's going to go through anyway, so it's something that the healer's still going to have to deal with. If you wait till he starts the cast of the channel and then you vanish or then you cloak, he's going to just like it's going to be on cooldown, so he's not going to be able to recast it, right? Because he's kind of like let that go through. Think of it like if you ever channel your own ability, right? It's going to if you get kicked on the hype up to it, you know, you can just cast it once you're back off lockout or whatever. But if you start casting it, that thing's like it's done. It's like it's big on a big cooldown, you know. So just do that. Make sure that you're killing the ads here. And one thing that I've been caught out a couple times and died really embarrassingly on stream too is after I've killed the ad, which is spawning just now, it's going to be dropping that pool of like blood on the ground, I guess. You really, really, really want to be making sure that you move instantly out of that, because it grows quite quickly and it does a hell of a lot of damage per tick, and it ticks instantly as well. And here's me getting hit by the curse, which isn't too bad of a thing as long as you have someone that can decurse it. Doesn't do too much damage, but it does give you like 25% reduced haste, so it's essentially like an anti-bloodlust, which is not very good. But as you can see here, again, my boss damage pretty good. Doesn't add here obviously, so we're getting a bit of cleave, but nothing too insane. And now I really need to make sure I move from this ad really quick. I might get a tick. No, I didn't. I was good with my movement there, but I did take another one of the curses, which is not good. Got another dispel from the chamois though, so he's kind of carrying me on this boss. But yeah. Oh, by the way, we've got, as you can see, 4 Russians and me, a fake Russian. Just Russian reporting for duty. But yeah, this is I quite often play with like, I don't know if it's my name or something, But I quite often find myself in this situation where I'm in a full party of like 4 Russians and me, and I'm not sure if they're inviting me because my name is like JustRuss, and I used to play my DH as my main, which like back in BFA, and it happened a lot then as well. But my DH is just called Russ, like it's not just Russ, it's just Russ. Fuck, that's so confusing. It's my DH is called Russ, so maybe, and a lot of people sometimes they say Russ question mark, and they're asking you if you're Russian, right, or if you speak Russian or something. So I don't know if people just think that I'm Russian, and therefore I always get invited in groups of 4 Russians, or maybe this is like what happens to you guys, and this is more to the EU guys, because obviously I don't think you have that over on NA servers, right? You don't have any Cyrillic names or anything like that. So, but that's just something that I always seem to notice in my parties. Like the amount of keys that I've done with a full Russian party plus myself, and sometimes they've just spoken in Russian. I've just been like, da, you know, but sometimes I've had to correct them and just been, you know, like, okay, I actually need to know what's going on here. These guys were nice though. They spoke English to me. So usually whenever I join, I just say yo, and then they know that I'm not going to be talking Russian. But maybe they invited me because they thought I was Russian. I have no idea. I've never actually asked. Maybe I should do that from now on. Yeah, those mobs don't really do much, so I thought I could talk over that with my little Russian anecdote. Taking care of this cold heart guy before we pull the boss, even though we don't need to, as long as no one like ninja pulls or ass pulls him. It's obviously safe to do it beforehand, but it'll probably depend on like who has cooldowns ready in your group and things, whether or not you take this guy before or after the boss. Actually, I guess you should probably take him before, because he does give you a power, which is gonna help with the healer, because it's I think it's the one that gives you 1.5% of your HP every time you take damage. So that'll be nice on the dot on this boss. And going into this boss, remember that you can cloak one of the waves, which I should hopefully be doing in this key. I might always take the regenerative fungus. I think you can take the interrupting one too, but I'd say that my golden rule for this boss would be not to be greedy. Like, this boss has tons of HP. It takes ages. I don't know if we have any silly deaths on this boss. I think maybe the warrior dies, but I'm not 100% sure. What I generally do is take 2 to 3 of the golden blobs, and then I faint. That's like my kind of thing. If you play a Necrolord, then you can faint plus fleshcraft, because that gives you like a damage reduction. And the way that the dot works on this, so when she does that big explosion where you have to pick up the golden orbs, is the dot that you take after the explosion goes off will be based on the damage that you took from the explosion, right? So if you faint the explosion, you're saving yourself from, is it 25 or 30% damage from faint, which means that the dot is also going to be having like a 25 to 30% damage reduction. So I usually take 2 blobs and I faint, so that I can leave a few more for my party, right? Because quite often when I've played this boss from a different point of view, like a range point of view, I feel like everybody squabbles for the orbs. Like, a lot of people take the same pass, and a lot of people overlap, and then like people end up getting denied and things. So if I can, I try and always leave as many as I can for my teammates, so that I can have a reduced risk of them just fighting over each other and one person has to go down for it. And these golden swirlies that spawn on the ground, I took 3 here. No, apparently I still took 2. No, I took 3. These golden swirlies on the ground, that's kind of my golden rule of not being greedy. They come down, like, sometimes they take ages to come down, and sometimes they come down really, really quick. So what I do is I just always move instantly. And as a melee DPS, you have no real excuse anyway not to move instantly. So I pretty much always just, as soon as the swirly comes on me, I move like quite far out the way, and it is worth like coming off the boss for a second just to make sure that you're not going to risk taking a swirly, because they absolutely one-shot you. Like, they 100% just one-shot you, especially on Tyrannical. Like, even on non-Tyrannical, I feel like they hit really, really, really hard, and I have seen far too many people die to those golden swirlies on the ground. So I would make sure that I'm probably going to faint. I'm probably going to cloak the next one, but I always move for these swirlies. And right here you can see I'm just sitting off the boss even for like a second or two, just to make sure that I'm not going to take one, because yeah, like, people dying to those is honestly like just a complete waste of death. Like, dying to the big explosion and dot thing is one thing, but dying to the swirly, which is 100% just avoidable damage, is just not worth it. So I think I'm not going for orbs, so I'm probably going to cloak this one. I have just popped my cloak, and that means that everyone else got more room, so the warrior didn't even take much damage from that, and the other 3 took barely anything because I left them the orbs. As you can see, like, my boss damage is nuts. I don't know why, because no one has died on this fight. I don't know why it is so far ahead of like the warriors, for example, because I think I've had about the same uptime as the warrior on that boss. Don't know if Fury's weak on single target or something, but I feel like I've never really seen it be like very weak. And usually now on this next corridor, we're going to be taking this pack, and then we usually, like most groups, they shroud the next pack, these 3 mobs up in this corridor with the Sentinel, the Overseer, and the Mist Dancer, right? If you do that, make sure that you distract. Okay, so you're gonna pop the shroud. We're obviously not gonna do it on this key, but if you do skip this pack with the shroud, I'll just go over it just for the sake of being clear. You're gonna run down the left wall. You're gonna shroud. Make sure your party's ready, obviously, and then you're going to distract the this Overseer guy. He's the one who's standing on the left. You're going to distract him with the reticule so that he will turn to the right, so that he's looking away from the wall that you're hugging, which will be the left-hand wall. And then you're going to hug the wall with shroud up and run past. I've had times when I've run there without distracting, and he has seen either me or someone else in my party, because you're running like almost through him. But if you distract him to face the opposite way, he won't. I've never had him see me. So that's just one tip for you if you are skipping this pack. This is what I was saying, like, we timed this key without any skips or anything. Like, we didn't do any roguey things. We didn't do, we didn't do any crazy routes. It was bolstering, which means that you can't do any, like, big pulls. We even had, like, a full wipe and a half on that pack of, the big pack of casters before the second boss room. Like, we had things go wrong and we still had time here. So, like, 10 minutes is enough for the gauntlet. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, and no skips required, which is quite cool. I don't really like doing the Gauntlet as Outlaw. I feel quite useless because the there's quite a lot of packs of those big AoE, like these caster dudes which cast around on people. Need to be ready there to lay down some CC if you can. I think here we're letting the chamois drink for a second before we start the Gauntlet, but the dogs are already running. And yeah, I think the proper way on this corridor is to like pull everything up to the lantern and just sit on the lantern and just like smash the boss. But most groups do it this way, where they just take a pack at a time. So you want to be putting down your AoE damage as much as you can. Maybe chucking some CCs, chuck a kick in there, maybe chuck a gouge just to save someone's ass. If people's health bars are low, like look at the health bars of your party and make a judgment call based on those, right? If the health bars are quite low and you see some casts about to go through, maybe chuck a kidney or a gouge or a blind or something on one of the mobs. It might save someone's life, it might not. All you can do is know that you did the best that you could at that exact moment in time. And then generally sticking on the boss, I think an explosive is going to go off here. No, I did try to switch to it to do a pistol shot. Oh yeah, by the way, on explosive weeks, I feel like pistol shotting the blobs is way better than like trying to melee them. It depends. Like if they're about to go off, try pistol shotting them. But like saber slashing them, less reliable. I would just try and pistol shot them personally. I feel like it's a bit more responsive. It still gives you a combo point. You don't lose out on too much damage and things. So I generally do that because you don't really need like the double proc on the saber slash and things like that. So, but if you can, obviously the best way is just to like click on them and white hit them with your melee attacks. So this is where the lantern comes in. I am tanking the boss, it seems. So I did chuck my evasion up there, which might have saved my ass. The chamois then followed it with a spirit link, which is definitely saved my ass and potentially saving anyone's life from these casters, which are pretty bad. Kick there. Maybe I chuck down a kidney. I don't think I need to. But yeah, you want to be pulling like a pack or two onto this lantern, and then you want to be using these dogs. If you kill the dogs on top of the lantern, which are obviously infinitely respawning, they're going to keep refreshing the lantern stacks, right? So you just want to be sitting on the boss in this, and he'll run off, and then you want to pull Like I think the proper way to do it is you pull the previous pack into this one and then you use this next pack to refresh it. So you get like two goes on the boss's HP to bring him down inside this lantern. So you can just you know, get down that from 90% to 70 very, very quick. And then the gauntlet's pretty much done. That's the, I believe, correct way to do it. But this way didn't work out too bad. You know, pretty much on top of this. The group was fairly solid, considering it's like a random poke late at night. I think this is like 2 a.m. 4 Russians, there's a Shadow Priest, a Warrior, a Rogue. Like, we're by no means a meta comp. Like, we don't even have a combat res or anything like that, you know. I think we might have used a couple engineering. No, I don't think we used a single combat res actually. Like, if you look in the top left corner, I have my marks bar and my combat res thing. Like, we still have 4 combat reses. So the thing I like about this run, and you know, like why I chose this key to showcase into a Yushi video, was pretty much because like we didn't really like meta pick this key or like meta game this key by any means, like in any way. Like, we didn't run combat reses. We did run a Bloodlust. We didn't run meta classes. We didn't run a Guardian Druid. We didn't run, you know, like a mage or like a monk or something like that. Like, a monk is insane in this key. Even I've seen survival hunters in this key do incredible damage. But yeah, like, we're not really metagaming this comp. About as big as our metagaming goes is the fact that we have a Bloodlust, you know, and we still did this in time with room to spare, which is great. So it does show that hopefully if this doesn't inspire you know, one of you guys, or at least let you guys see the light that maybe there is hope after all, that you can get into a key, and that not every single key needs every single meta pick as if you were running the MDI or a plus 28 or something, you know. Hopefully you'll see, and you'll maybe give someone like a Shadow Priest a chance in a key. Like, maybe you're running your key and you'll be like, you know what, maybe I can do this. Obviously, the higher that you stack your deck in your favor, the higher chance that you're going to time your key. I'll agree with that. Like, when you have certain classes signing up and you want certain classes and you can get them, then why not take them, right? But sometimes if you see like a really good priest, or you see like a very mediocre Ellie Shami or something, like, I'll probably take the priest, you know, just because I know that priests can pump in the right hands and things like that. So I'm usually, more often than not, I do like to give the guy that I just know has been signing up to 50 keys and getting declined because of his class, I like to give him a chance. But if there is the comp sat in the group and like in a pre-made or something, and they're like the perfect comp, like they have a combat res, they have a Shami, they have a monk, they have, you know, a Necrolord, and we're doing like TOP or something, like, I'm probably going to take them. But as long as you can fill your, you know, usually I look for a Bloodlust, a combat res, and the you know, whatever dungeon we're doing. Like in Sanguine Depths, you need a Venthyr, you know, or it makes it incredibly easier with a Venthyr. It's underrated, really, but I really don't like that about the current Mythic Plus system. I hate that you have to bring like a certain covenant to a key. It is just really annoying. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit better in 9.1.5 with the free switching, although I've been told that it's not as free as we thought. Like, I thought that you could switch covenant between every single key or something, because like I thought they were removing the restriction, but apparently not. We'll see. I haven't seen anything official on that, so don't take my word for it. I don't even want to like really preach that, so just forget I said anything. We'll see how it comes, and maybe I'll make a video talking about that when it gets closer to the time. So this boss, with regards to this boss, you know, in terms of roguey things, you can use evasion to dodge his charge if it's on you. Obviously you don't know which order, unless there's a weak order that I'm missing. If so, then link it down below or something in the comment section. But as far as I know, there's no like weak order that tells you like which order he's going to charge at you guys at, like if he takes you first or third or second or whatever. So if he's taking you second or third, you can actually just sidestep his little spin that he does after he charges you, which is the thing that actually puts the dot on you. But yeah, if it's first, then you kind of need to evasion it. So I just try and evasion when I can. There's also the Kyrian pot that you can do to get rid of the bleed if you do play Kyrian. By the way, side note, I'm really enjoying Kyrian again, especially with Outlaw. A little bit more frustrating with sub, but really nice with Outlaw. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, just try and keep yourself topped up, help your healer out with the Crimson Vial if you can, and just pump the boss, like dodge the blurs. If you have to come off the boss for a second during the blur thing, you know, the 3 lines that go across the platform, then just do that. Like, it's not worth being greedy over. And here you can see that we timed it with 2 minutes and 31 seconds to spare. And I did almost so close to 10k overall, which I'd say is not too bad. Definitely it could have been a lot higher if we had, you know, I'd say it could be higher if we had run through the dungeon, done a slightly different route, pulled a couple packs together, but again, it's bolstering, so maybe that just does lower overall DPS. But I'd say that, I played it pretty good. I don't think I died outside of the time that we full wiped. And there's my damage breakdown if anyone's interested. But yeah, really, really good. Yeah, I'd say good key, fun key, Sanguine depths for sure. And yeah, good overall. Beating a warrior and a priest. I guess make what you want out of that one. But I think that that's a pretty good way to go. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the key. More stuff coming soon. I should have in the next couple of days a little sub raiding kind of like nice little tip for you guys, which should give you just like 2 to 3% DPS increase for like 2 minutes of your time with subtlety inside raids. So if you're interested in subs, then make sure you stay tuned for that one. Feel free to drop a subscribe if you want to be notified when that one comes out and things like that. But yeah, I would appreciate a like on the video if you haven't already done that, and feel free to check out the Twitch channel as well. I stream there most days, so that's about all I got for you guys. I hope I see you in the next video, or over on the stream if you got any questions, or put them down below and I will read and reply to as many of those as I can. All right, thank you guys, and until next time, peace.